Hi everybody!
Here we are a day after the Fed meeting and the market's a bit mixed. Some of the Mag 7 are red, some are green. The general market is relatively mixed, pretty flat in a lot of cases. The Bitcoin miners are pretty mixed, a little bit of green but mostly red. And Bitcoin's down a bit today after a really nice day yesterday. Now we do have some news today and then we'll talk about the Fed meeting. We do have some positive data from home sales. Home sales rose 4.2% last month, where economists polled by Reuters had forecast home sales would drop to a rate of 3.9 million units. We saw 4.2 million units sold. And this increase happened despite seeing pending home sales drop. We did see a 1.2% decrease if we're talking about year over year, however. Consumer and business sentiment has been dropping, and this is something the Fed actually hit on. He mentioned that we are going to follow the hard data, which so far, so good. However, it's the soft data that's a bit concerning. Inventory of homes has been increasing. We have a 17% rise in supply from a year ago. And while supply has risen 17% from a year ago, the median existing home price has only increased 3.8% from a year ago. Properties are staying on the market for a little bit longer compared to a year ago. The average of 42 days compared to 38 days. Now I want to talk about the Fed and QT. People are getting a little ahead of themselves. Some people think that QT is ending April 1st, but that is not the case. The Fed is basically decreasing their rate of QT. The Fed took action to reduce the pace of runoff of its Treasury holdings. This paves the way for the Fed to eliminate runoff by summer. And with any luck, if inflation data is in the right place, then reducing the Fed funds rate, decreasing interest rates, will be the obvious choice. And the Fed was previously rolling off their treasuries at a rate of $25 billion each month. Now they're decreasing it to $5 billion. Now, while that's a good step towards QE, it is not QE yet. That's what probably made the market rally yesterday. The fact that their QT is decreasing from $25 billion each month to $5 billion. Because other than that, we have some somewhat hawkish words from the Fed, some somewhat worrying words from the Fed. They said uncertainty about 1 million times, and the group also downgraded their outlook for economic growth. They also gave a higher bump to inflation. However, they still do see 2 cuts this year. When they were asked that, Jerome Powell basically said that tariffs, the uncertainty there. So if all these tariffs get negotiated on, we will likely see a more positive Fed as well. If the tariffs do get pushed through, if we see reciprocal tariffs and so on, the likelihood of these rate cuts may decrease. But basically the Fed cited uncertainty for the reason that they left them there. And the dot plot tells a lot. In the previous meeting, only one of the Fed members saw no rate change in 2025, whereas now 4 do. Now, speaking of QT, we're looking at the Polymarket. They show 100% odds of the Fed ending QT, or quantitative tightening, before May. So some point around the summer is the consensus. You can see how this changed from being right around the 40s to now being a 100% chance because of the Fed's move decreasing their runoff with QT, going from 25 billion per month to only 5. Next, after that, it will take some time. It's not going to be right away. But after that comes likely QE. Now, looking at Bitcoin's daily chart, it's looking a lot more bullish. We have a bullish MACD crossover. We saw this recent bullish divergence. The RSI was picking up while the price was still dropping. And right now, we're in a nice, pretty clear uptrend as of late. The weekly is where things aren't as bullish. The MACD is still pointing down, still falling. We saw a bearish MACD cross in early February, and the RSI has been continuing to fall, now towards neutral. As for the daily, keep an eye on the 200 MA. We have been finding it as resistance. We broke above it, but now we're back under it. I want to see Bitcoin clear over this and hold it. It hasn't been doing this. It's been all month just finding it as resistance. Now, we also had news the other day, some good spot Bitcoin ETF news. Finally, a big inflow, a pretty big inflow, at least the largest in 6 weeks, 274 million. While it's not the best we've seen, it is an improvement over recent time. And looking at Wednesday, while it wasn't as impressive in terms of inflows as Monday this week, this is the 4th day in a row of consecutive positive inflows. However, yesterday was only an $11 million inflow day, despite Bitcoin's massive move. Now, how are you guys feeling about the market today? Apparently there's a crypto conference that's going on or went on. We'll be talking about that in a future video. How do you feel about the Fed meeting? How do you feel about QT easing? Not QE, but QT is easing, if you understand the slight difference. But anyways, guys, thanks as always for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one.